Hi there, and welcome to another edition of the FM training series here on Busternet. On today's show, I'm going to take a look at squad planning and how you set yourself up for the future. Essentially, it can, once you set it up, once you have a system in place, it's really autopilot. And after a while, you kind of get into the groove of things and you know exactly what to do and how to do it. And I thought I'd just share some of the things that I do to speed things up for myself. I've got this player called Federico Girardo. Now, he's got 2 stars and 1 black star. So basically, what the stars tell me is that he's not playing to his full potential. I was hoping that he gets a chance to kick into the first team squad, but there's certain areas of his game that are really weak. For a fullback, I don't like fullbacks to have bad positioning, and the combination of off the ball and bad positioning means that in an attacking sense, he doesn't move around a lot. He might have decent acceleration, but even then, that's only about 11. And his composure is 11, so he's 20 years old. Cut him some slack, right? So don't expect too much from him. So what I'm gonna do is he needs to actually go out and play. Now I have him being tutored by Pontus Jensen, but in this particular case, I want to make a priority that he gets more games. If he can get a lot of games under his belt, then when he comes back, he might have his attribute development might be better. However, this is like a catch 22 situation. All right. His personality is, if I'm not mistaken, balanced. Or shit, I know there's a better way of checking that. It's over here. I have this nice little list. Why don't I use it? I'm such an idiot. Okay, where are you, Mr. Then I got filters and I don't use them too. Oh god, this is not turning out very well. Okay, where is Gerardo? Gerardo, he's a fairly determined. Okay, it's not that bad. I rather him be resolute, right? So he's got players that he can learn from. He can learn from Lorenzo de Silvestri, but if I'm not mistaken, he just finished tutoring someone, so he hasn't got the time to get on somebody's case yet. Pontus Jensen would be a very good one to tutor him. He's resolute as well, but in terms of fullbacks, he can do it from Lorenzo. But what I want to do is here you have a 50-50 situation. Let me explain to you why. The offer I have is actually very good. It's from Perugia Calcio. They just got promoted. They want him to be a key player, and I can actually penalize them if they don't use him. If his wages is 14.25k per week, what I normally like to do is give them a heavy unused monthly fee. So if they don't use him, they pay me a monthly fee of 60k, and if they don't use him on a weekly basis, his salary is like 14,000, right? So they still have to pay his playing wage percent. Sorry, I'm sorry, 0%. I shouldn't be doing that to them. Unused wage percentage, they've given 20%. So I'm just gonna tell them, look, guys, here's 50% playing wage percentage. I'll let you pay 50%. I will cover 50% of the cost. You cover the rest, and you come back to us. Now, I am not going to put him on loan because I want him to be tutored by somebody. So we don't want him to go. But this is just one example of what you can do. If you have a situation with a player and you want to send him on loan, make sure that he is playing first, he has to have the personality. So you want to maximize his time on loan. His personality has to be tutored and changed before he goes on loan. The second thing you want to do is when you have these loan contracts staring at you in the face, make sure they pay a steep price if they don't use them. So I like to stick on an unused monthly fee and a playing wage percentage just to make sure. And then I will negotiate I won't even negotiate the offer. I'll suggest terms. Let's see. They have negotiated the offer. They only want to do a playing wage percentage of 20%. So in this particular case, it didn't. They wanted it to be 20%. I wouldn't mind it if he really needed to go alone. I'm going to reject it because I don't want him to go on loan. I want He's going to get a chance to play this season. This season, I have fullbacks like Danilo Avila, Federico Gerardo, and Antonio Barreca. But Barreca is going to play most of the games. Avila is going to be on the bench most of the season because we want to get some of the players through, right? We want to get players like Barreca playing now, and we want to get other players playing. So there's a fair bit of squad planning that you have to do. This is an area of the team that we might have a problem with, and this is where tactics will come in. Now, if you know the kind of system you're gonna play, and this is helpful because if you have an idea of how you want to play, then you will know where your emphasis has to be in terms of planning for the future. If you're looking at our defenders, you notice one thing. Most of my defenders are pretty getting on in age. Silvestri should be retiring soon. He's 31 years old. Isa Mandi is 27 years old. Pontus Jansson is 28. Murray Wallace, well, he's still good, eh? Don't knock this boy from Scunthorpe. He can play. And Federico Gerardo, he's 20 years old. Bolzano is 20. So these boys, they have to get into the first team eventually. And I know that at least one of them, Borrego, will go in, but I don't have a right back for the future. That's my problem at the moment. So what do? You go into your under 18s and you start looking around. Do you have a right back in the under 18s that can come through? I don't have one. Under 20s, nada. I don't have a right back in the under 20s as well. And I have a DM on loan, and I have a striker on loan, and I have a midfielder on loan. So what do? This is where your training meets your tactics and your scouting. So now what I do is I go to my scouting. I know that they may not get players coming through. I will be waiting for 1 or 2 weeks, but this is a great time for you to go out and set up your scouting so that you can drag in the right kind of players. When you go to the scouting screen, you'll notice something, right? And you're going to notice that there are so many players here, and you've probably scouted them already, and they'll show up. But if you wanted to find a youngster between the ages of 15 to 16, you know, your scout reports will probably not be 43%. They'll be for new players that are coming through. So they'll be more or less like 25%. And they're not going to show up immediately. So what I like to do is I like to use the filters really aggressively. So uh, what I do is I go and create. Here I have a here I have a filter already set up. It shows scouted potential ability. This is fantastic, right? So you don't need to have 100% knowledge of a player. You don't even need to have 40% knowledge of a player. These are players that are already known to all your scouts. They've done some preliminary work. As you can see, the ranges are still there. Ricardo Zanetta, they know he's got some potential. But if you look at the scout reports, knowledge level 25%. Still need to be scouted out. But they have natural fitness of around 8, and they have a scouted potential of around, which is good, which is fantastic. So the thing is, then you start deciding, okay, fine, I want to go out there and I want to create my own shortlist, and I want to go and find these players within the group of players that are my shortlist. Now, when you go to scouting in your shortlist, you'll notice something. There's no scouted potential ability. You only have potential. This is for players that have already been scouted. Okay, so you have to have some pre-existing knowledge if you go there. Knowledge level 100%. I think the minimum is 45%. So this becomes a pain in the ass because I don't need this shit. Okay. What I want is what I want is this one, scouter potential ability. And you don't find it in the drop down. We go drop down, scouter potential ability is nowhere to be seen. So how do you actually get this filter over here? Because you can't copy and paste a filter, right? So how do you create this filter in the first place? So that's what I'm going to show you. Reset. If you come here for the first time, even if you're looking for scouted potential ability, you won't see it. They say scouted, right? Scouted is in the last month. That's it. So it's not that one. So what do? Very simple. You go to quick search, hot prospect. Go to your fullback. Assume I want a fullback, or better still, we just go any role for defender on the left. Next, and I go, I want them to be at least say 15 to 16. Let's forget the rest. And I have a thing for natural fitness. I want them to have a minimum natural fitness of 8 because natural fitness does improve over time. It takes a longer time, but it does improve. And we've got this all set up. Do I want any other conditions? Not really. Here we go. Voila. We have a filter set up over here. We've got all these filters here. Now let's make it even more interesting for myself. I want a nationality. I want them to be Italian. All of a sudden, I've got a whole bunch of players who are between the ages of 15 to 16 who have natural fitness that ranges is at least 8, who have some potential. They guess that there's some potential in these players, and then what I can do is I can go to this group, one whole big group here, and go, hey, go assign a scout from the scouting pool until full knowledge. Forget the match highlights because there probably won't be any. And just to reiterate, you see this 1 and a 2 and a half and maybe a 3 star here. If I go to him, his report will also say he's 80%. So, so one guy fell through the loop, but I suspect that this will be interesting because he must have been scouted. He must be playing somewhere where one of my players had Yeah, his compensation is 425K. So he must be playing for somebody already. So I've got all these players being scouted. Danilo Davini, we've got information coming. So this is one way for you to do this. Then you got all these scouts here. You've got these filters here set up. Then you come here, you save the current filter. You call it your hot prospect filter. All right. And then whenever I want to look for hot prospects, I just change. I change any one of these and I just go. And all known players, they filter it through. And this makes it a lot easier. Because once I go to the player shortlist, or even when I go to the scouted players that have already been scouted, if I wanted to find a hot prospect in this group, all I gotta do is go to my filter, hot prospect, bang, I got nobody. I'll be sad. There's nobody here. All right. I go to my player shortlist, filter options, drop it in again. I know I don't have anyone here. So the boys are out. They're scouting all the known players, all right, who are naturals at left. Then I want naturals at right. Voila, we have a whole bunch here now. And these are all Italian players that I'm hoping I can scout them and try and get them into the club. Because let's face it, all right, this is a training guide. Sometimes you want to go scouting players to bring them in, or you could wait for the academy to, produce them. I just want to show you the ways in which you can build a squad. If you're short, because you have to plan for the future, you need to have a plan. So my plan is always this: my players will always be playing for me once they hit 20 to 21. Around that age, they'll start playing for me. If they're like 4 stars or 5 stars, they definitely be playing a lot of games. If I see their attributes are really good, they'll be playing a lot of games. Look like Paragini and Sergio Gomez, Sir Z Gomez. They make very good examples. If they can't play a lot of games for me, then they become key players. They go to another Serie A team and they play there. I will not settle for anything less than Serie A. If they can play in Serie A, that's very good. If they can't, then they don't go alone. I have to try and play them in my side. And if they're good enough, if they're not good enough, then too bad. I will probably then give them to a lower tier club, and then my plan begins to look like I'm going to be selling them. So what you want to do is always to have a very strong idea and a strong plan for your tactic as well. So you need to combine your tactic with your training. So in this particular case, I already know that for the next maybe 3 to 4 seasons, you're playing only one or two tactics: the 4-3-3, the 4-1-3-2, or the 4-3-1-2, which all these tactics happen to be my favorite tactics. And it's also great because I can flip flop between all three without a penalty. I don't have to worry too much about, oh, can I find this player? Can I not find this player? In this particular case, we know we have a mini crisis in Torino in the fullback positions. And I also know that we have a mini crisis of sorts in the central midfield positions as well. Sasa Lukic is on loan, but when he comes back, he has to start playing for us. So whenever you're looking at setting up your training schedules, you need to have a long-term plan in mind. This long-term plan has to encompass your tactic, how your tactic is set up. It has to encompass what I covered in previous shows, where you look at PPMs for players. Before you send them out for a loan, make sure their personalities have already been tutored. Don't send them on loan when they have got shitty personalities. Okay, if you want them to improve and you expect them to improve, tutor them first. Make sure their personalities change, and then you send them on loan. Because then the attributes, the improvement in the CA is going to be much more effective when they have a better personality. Finally, understand the need for replenishment as well. If your academy isn't producing that many players, then think about how you're going to get more players in, and then use the scout shortlist to your advantage. I just showed you a really quick way for me to go, okay, I'm scouting for 15 to 16 year olds. Boom, that's it. Let's try and bring them in. Sometimes the idea here is I want to look for players between the ages of 15 to 17, right? At the age of 17, I will definitely draw them into the club. I will definitely sign them. If I can find 16-year-olds that are very good, then I go to war for compensation fees because I want them in as well. And if my academy is producing good players, that's fantastic. The number has to be within your control. Don't bring in more than you can play. If you are going to bring in a lot of players, then you're going to struggle. Then you're going to have to find them very, very good clubs for loans, and you've got to tutor them really quickly, get them trained, and push them out. And then you get another headache. It's called the under 18 coaches. when it comes to under 18s coaches, there's a huge challenge. It's called quality of coaches. So if you want to improve quality of coaching or the CA of your under 18 players, then what you need to do is you need to go out there and hire good under 18s coaches, and there are not a lot of them in the game. Which is one of the reasons why if you really want to develop and you really want to train them, either you make yourself into a phenomenal coach yourself, or what you can do is you can just go out there and find them because it's going to take you a long time. And sometimes you get the option to upgrade the coaching qualifications. When that happens, upgrade the coaching qualifications. Other than that, you these are the only things that you can do in the game to improve it. So here, my under 18s, there aren't many coaches, and we are already not one of the best in the land, but I am gonna be trying to get more under 18s coaches into the first into my club so that I can be relieved of coaching duties, so I don't have to cross myself over so many. Well, I hope you enjoyed this edition of the training series, and I hope you found it helpful. If you have any questions, you know where to find me. It's the usual places. And once again, I'd like to thank all the patrons who have kindly donated to keep this channel going. Thank you very much. You guys take care. Have a good one. Bye bye.